Hi, and welcome to the Rags to Riches show with myself, Terry Blackburn. So, ways that you can make £10,000 per month from property. There's quite a few different ways to do this, and everybody seems to anchor on this number of 10 grand per month. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy because I'm not a liar, and I'm not going to tell you that it's quick because it's not that either, right? It obviously depends on loads of variables, how long you've been doing property, your skill set, how much time you've got, how much capital you've got access to. It depends on loads and loads of different factors, right? But I'm going to share with you probably what I think is the quickest way that you can do this, and probably the easiest way, I believe, that you can do this as well. Because there's definitely easier ways and there's harder ways, and there's quicker ways and there's longer ways. Okay. So how you can make 10K from property. Let's talk about the longer ways first, then we'll get to the quickest way. So let's say if you just start buying buy-to-lets. Okay. I love buy-to-lets, by the way. I'm not shitting on them. They are a great strategy. They are low risk. They are, it doesn't really take you much time to manage buy-to-lets once you've got them. You don't typically get much hassle from your tenants as long as in the right areas. But you're generally going to make 250, 300, 350 quid net profit from a buy-to-let. So a buy-to-let, you might get 800 rent, 400 mortgage, minus some management and some insurance. It might net profit, which people don't often talk about. Net, actual net, normally around about 300 quid, right? If you're looking at a 25% deposit, 75% bank debt. So obviously to make 10K per month from buy-to-lets only, you're talking over 30 deals, right? That's obviously going to take you a while to have the capital to buy 30 buy-to-lets and to purchase that many properties effectively. That's not easy to do and that's not quick to do, but it's doable. I make over 10K from my buy-to-lets, but I've been doing it years and years and years. If you want a quick solution, buy-to-lets is not the answer. If you look at it, things like HMOs and Airbnbs, SA style properties, that's going to be quicker than buy-to-lets. That's going to be generally around about grand net profit per property. Obviously, huge variables, location, spec, purchase price, and all that. But generally in the Northeast, I'm buying HMOs, 4 and 5 beds that is net profit in me £1,000 per month. So 10 of those, and that's your 10K. But again, have you got enough capital to buy 10 HMOs? Have you got enough capital to buy 10 Airbnbs? How long is that going to take? Most people don't have the capital just to go and buy 10 HMOs. You probably need 400-500 grand if you're buying in the Northeast to do that. If you don't have that, that's out the window. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try and get to there long term, because it is great having some buy-to-lets and some HMOs that cash flow really nicely every single month, of course. But again, it's slower, and I think it depends upon your situation right now. But I do think it's a good place to get to if you can get your Airbnbs and your HMOs net profiting you with £10,000 a month. Maybe if you had 10 grand from your buy-to-lets, 10 grand from your HMOs, you're in a fantastic place, right? So let's talk about some of the quicker strategies. So deal sourcing. Now, I've taught quite a few of my one-on-one clients how to deal source. A couple of people in particular came to me when they've never done property before. They didn't even own any properties. They never deal sourced on a deal before. And I've explained to them how to deal source. 2 main elements to how to deal source, which is the first one is finding properties. The second one is finding investors. So how to find properties. You need to, first of all, get good at finding deals, of course, because if your deal's not good enough, no one's going to buy it. There's loads of different niches you could go down. Are you looking for below market value properties? Are you looking for high yielding properties? Are you looking for high cash flowing properties? Are you looking for HMO specifically, Airbnb specifically, buy-to-let, whatever, social housing, development, whatever, right? If you're trying to deal source everything, you're going to be less effective. I would personally advise, if you're going to start deal sourcing, niche down to 2 or 3 different types of properties. So maybe it's HMOs that cash flow well. A lot of people are looking for those at the moment. Flips and maybe social housing or high cash flow buy-to-lets, yeah? Whatever it is you decide upon, get good at finding those deals and view a shitload of properties. You're going to have to view 10, 20 properties a week, yeah? You want to be high volume viewing properties. You don't have to view that many, but if you want to make some real money, then you're going to have to. So first of all, it's getting good at finding the properties. You then secure the properties and you make offers and you get it secured in your name at a purchase price that you know is a deal. Then you need to be sending those deals out to investors, putting them on social media, reaching out to people in your network, going to networking events, reaching out to people who you know who have money and who are actively buying, me included. If you have deals, send them to me. And there's plenty of other people. You're then finding the investors and you then effectively just marrying them up. And you can easily charge 3, 4, 5 grand. I know some people charge up to 7 and 10 grand even per deal that they find. So realistically, that's 2 deals per month that you need to find, and you're going to make 10K. Now, that is very, very realistic for anybody, right? As long as you're doing the viewings and as long as you're building your network with investors. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Loads of people can find deals, but they can't find investors. You can't skip the reps here. You've got to get yourself out there. You've got to find investors. You've got to be viewing properties and finding investors all of the time. That means viewing loads. That means networking loads, connecting with people on social media loads, and speaking to people who've got money loads, right? You've got to do both at the same time if you want a deal source. You can't just find the property, do one post on social media and someone pays you 5 grand. You've got to be active. You've got to be doing it, regularly and consistently over a period of time. You might not, in your first month or so, you might not even sell a deal. You might find a deal and not be able to sell it, but you've got to keep going. You've got to keep being persistent and consistent and progressing, and you will eventually build your network. You'll eventually start to find deals, and you could easily sell 2 a month. We sold, I think it was 48 or 49. It was around about the 50 mark. In 2019, I sold that many properties to investors. And that was the first year I ever started sourcing. So we made substantial money that year. And I also purchased 16 properties for myself in 2019. So it can be done. And I had multiple companies and I had children and I had a partner. I had loads of stuff. I was still going to the gym. I had loads of stuff on in 2019 and I still done that. You might not be able to do that in your first year if you're relatively new. You might be able to match that. You might be able to sell 20. You might be able to just sell 2 a month or 1 a month, sell 12 in a year. Or you might be able to go on to sell more than 50. Some of the lads that I've coached have literally went on to make 80, 100,000 pounds in their first year by deal sourcing from a standing start. But the only way that happens is if you do a load of viewings and you do loads of networking and you connect with loads of investors. They have to happen at both at the same time. Yeah. And it's not easy, but it's simple. There's a process. Yeah. So that is probably the quickest way, in my opinion, to make 10 grand a month. What I then advise, once you start to make that kind of money, that you save as much as you can and you start to acquire properties for yourself. There's other ways like coaching and mentoring. Now, definitely do not become a coach and definitely do not become a mentor unless you are experienced, unless you are credible, you've done it a good few years, you know what you're talking about, you've got a personality, you've got a social media presence. There's so many knobheads that are trying to be coaches and mentors that aren't credible, that haven't done it a while, they don't have, quite frankly, they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. And they're taking people's money. It boils my blood. I've done this a long time and I see these plonkers doing it and people are actually paying them. The people that are paying these plonkers are just as much to blame as the plonkers themselves. So don't be a coach or a mentor unless you're credible, unless you've done it a while. You need a good few years experience and you need to have done some stuff before you start teaching people how to do stuff, right? But that's another way you can charge people, whatever. You can charge people packages, you can charge people annual payments, quarterly payments, whatever. That's another way to make sort of 10K from property. And the other way, probably the least likely way that anyone's going to do it listening to this would be angel investing. So if you've got a lump of money, you could lend that out to other people for 8, 10, 12% and get a return on your money and get that up to 10K. But you need substantial capital to do that. So just to recap on these points, the quickest and easiest way, in my opinion, is deal sourcing. After that, you want to be looking at buying HMOs and Airbnbs because that's quicker than buy-to-lets. Still buy-to-lets, it depends on the capital that you've got and it depends on the situation that you're in. But if you're looking for quick wins, it's deal sourcing. Long-term wealth creation is HMOs and buy-to-lets. an angel investing. And then once you're credible enough, you could always look at coaching as well. So that's my advice if you want to make 10K from property. Various ways to do it. It depends on what stage you're at right now. But regardless of what stage you're at right now, I would strongly advise that you view volume of properties and you connect and you network with others to grow that network and find investors. So when you do find a deal, you can reach out and you can send that deal to those investors. Keep buying your own properties as and when you can, and getting into angel investing and coaching and mentoring if that's right for you in the future. So hope you've enjoyed that. Remember, don't just take notes, take a shit ton and a load of action.